With the release of Minecraft 1.18 and all the amazing new terrain that came with it, I thought what better time than now to start a brand new world. Oh, and if you're wondering who the people are behind me, well, they're not important. So let's start the same way you start any Minecraft world, by punching a tree. I'll go ahead and get up to at least stone stuff and start looking for one of the new caves off camera, as I imagine you don't care about that. Oh, so I'm playing on a world with my family, in case you were actually wondering. I found this cave entrance, and I'd say it looks pretty promising. Let's head down and check it out. Just from here, I can already see a bit of a lush cave and the entrance to a mineshaft. And a lot of mobs. Looks like it's not a very big lush cave, but it's still pretty cool. I'm so glad there's finally a way to get a large quantity of clay. Well, easily anyway. I don't think I care too much about the mineshaft right now, but I might come back to it later. But probably not. Heading a bit deeper into the cave, I found this massive lava pool. But the lava definitely didn't generate properly, which looks kinda cool. Sure would be a shame if someone were to, update it or something. After that, it only took a few seconds before I found my first vein of diamonds. Then I only had to walk a few blocks to find another, giving me 2 more diamonds. I then looked over the lava pool and spotted yet another vein. I guess the best way to get over there is to just use water, so let's do that. Unfortunately, when I got there was only one, but that's still better than nothing, I guess. With my newly acquired diamonds, I was ready to head off to the Nether. So after somehow managing to mess the portal up twice, I finally successfully did it. But before I went, I had to get some food. And it's really nice that you can actually get food underground now, especially when you're not smart enough to get a bunch of food before you enter a giant cave. While doing that, I almost got killed by Endermen, but it was fine. Now that I have food, I quickly made some iron armor and went through the portal. And of course I spawned in a cave. But at least when I finally got out of the cave, I was in a crimson forest, which is the best place to get yourself some food. After killing a few more hoglins, I began looking for the fortress. And here we are. Now that we're here, it's time to kill some blazes. I think that should be more than enough. I also went through and checked all the chests in the fortress, but most of them were pretty bad. So, back to the overworld. Another part of the new terrain that I really like is the rivers. They're just so much wider and deeper than before. I just really like them. Well, that is until I want to build a squid farm anyway. As you may have noticed, all my diamond stuff mysteriously vanished in the Nether. So I thought I'd head back into the caves. And of course the one cave I go into is terrible. But after killing a few animals and robbing a village of all their worldly possessions, I found a better cave. This one also had a lush cave, however this one was a lot bigger. After seeing this one, it definitely made me decide that lush caves are my new favorite biome type. I just like them because other than the mobs constantly trying to kill you, it's a pretty peaceful place, and it's bright enough where you hardly need to place any torches. There's also just so much more room for caves with the new extended world height. I haven't even made it to the deep slate half of the world, and where I'm standing now would be in the void before the update. Yet another great thing about these lush caves is that as long as you have access to bones, which are pretty easy to get in caves, you can easily get wood. I then found a few diamonds in and around the lush cave. 8 to be exact, before I found this section of the cave, where almost every time I found one vein of diamonds, there'd be another one right next to it. Pretty much everywhere I looked there was at least one vein of diamonds, I ended up getting a total of 24 diamonds. And that's without fortune. I then found one of the new large iron ore veins, and did the only logical thing to do. Mine the whole thing. It wasn't anywhere close to being as big as they get, but I still got almost 2 stacks of iron from it, so that was a pretty good way to finish in the caves. Back on the surface, I found this massive cave. I'm not going to go in it now, but if you were just walking along and not paying too much attention, you could easily get killed by this. The next thing I need is ender pearls, so it's time to go back to the Nether. I traded all the gold I got from the cave and some that I mined here in the Nether, but they didn't give me any. So I went and mined some more gold and tried again, but still got nothing. So I gave up on the piglins and went to the warp forest to kill some endermen, which ended up being a lot more successful. On the way back to the portal, I also ended up finding a couple pieces of ancient debris, which is always a nice surprise. I spent much longer in the Nether than I had planned, but now I have everything I need to find the Stronghold, so let's go. It looks like the Stronghold is going to be right under this village, which is actually the same village that I raided earlier, so let's see if we can find it. And sure enough, here it is. Now all we need to do is find the portals so we can head off to the end, so hopefully that doesn't take too long. Oh, that was pretty fast. I quickly placed down a bed and set my spawn, then cleaned up my inventory a bit before I finally set off to the ender. I imagine you've seen this fight quite a few times by now, so you know how it goes. You shoot the crystals, do some epic MLGs, shoot some more crystals. Don't die, and then kill the dragon. I grabbed the dragon egg and then headed off to the outer islands, where I got a pretty lucky spawn. After nearly dying from an ender pearl, I realized that not only was there one end city, but there was actually a second one right beside it, which means I didn't have to do any searching at all, which is always the hardest part, without the elytra. So I went to the first one, and after dealing with a few endermans, I began making it to the top. You may have noticed earlier that I didn't craft any diamond armor, and that's because almost every chest in End City has some kind of diamond tool or armor, or even just diamonds themselves. And even if you don't get your diamond stuff from End Cities, you can always just get it from villagers, so it's not really much point of crafting it. I finished killing all the shulkers in this room, then headed off to the boat to get an elytra, where this happened. Well, that could have gone terribly. And just like that, we have our first elytra. And the first flight on a world always feels so nice, especially after walking for so long. And don't worry, I remembered to get the dragon head. I also found a fun new bug with the elytra. You can actually just fly against levitation, as you can see I'm doing now. Like, I have levitation right now and I'm just flying normally, which definitely isn't normal, but it makes fighting shulkers a whole lot easier, so I'm not complaining. I then finished raiding this end city, making sure to get most of the shulkers, and then raided a few more off camera. Before I headed back home to see what I collected. And out of all those end cities, I got 117 shulker shells, 48 diamonds, enough gold to maybe get a single pearl trade. I also got 4 elytras and 3 dragon heads, which yes, that does mean I forgot one. And I also got a bunch of enchanted tools and armor. Now that I can fly, I got a much better look at all the amazing new terrain. While doing so, I found this amazing mountain, but part of it wasn't loading, so I flew in closer to see if I could get it to load, and then I kinda just got stuck in the air and couldn't move. And then died, so yeah, that happened. Now that I got my stuff back after being killed by the air, I want to quickly build up a little wool farm so I can get to work on my starter base next episode. I'm thinking I'll build it in this little area here. Maybe something like this? It's nothing too crazy, but it's just a wool farm, so, you know. This design is pretty standard at this point. There's just an observer watching the grass under the sheep, so that whenever the sheep eats the grass, it sends a signal to the dispenser to shear the sheep. Then a hopper and a minecart runs through the bottom, collecting all the wool and putting it in this box. So yeah, I think this room should do the trick. Here's a bit of a building tip. This especially works because the grass works so well with the moss, but every time you have an area that drops down a block like this, if you just put a fence underneath the moss carpet, it makes walking up and down the block so much smoother. It's the equivalent of putting a slab around it, but still giving the natural look. If the moss doesn't give you the right color, it would also work with carpets and imagine snow layers as well. It's a small little detail, but it just makes your base that much better. I'm not sure if this bug has already been discovered or not, but if you just place shulker boxes above water, you can see right through the water. And I'd imagine this also works with lava too. I also built this little area for my Nether Portals, so then I didn't have to go to the bottom of a cave to go into the Nether anymore. So yeah, that looks pretty nice too. A few moments ago I mentioned I was going to build a starter base in the next episode. I don't have an exact plan for my starter base, but I have a pretty good idea of what I want to do. Next episode I'll build a big pirate ship looking boat somewhere out there in the water. This will be where I store all my stuff, as I'm beginning to need somewhere to do that. This is my storage system right now. I won't open them, but believe me when I say they're definitely not organized. Okay, maybe I'll open one of them. Yeah, I definitely need a better place. Over the next few videos after I finish building the boat, I'll work on the rest of my starter base, which will be like a fishing village that runs alongside this coast. It'll be full of little houses and marketplaces, and probably with a few villagers in there as well. And then the whole thing will be floating on little platforms with pathways that connect them all. And there'll definitely be lots of boats in this area, which is why I'll need so much wool from our new farm to build all the sails. Anyway, I think that'll be pretty cool. Let me know what you think. As you can probably tell based off this video, I'm not a really big fan of the early game Minecraft, so I always just get through that as quickly as possible. And one of the main reasons I do that is so I can get to work on my mega base even sooner. I've shown this mountain twice in the video so far, once in the intro and once when it killed me. And that's because I really like it. I've been thinking about and designing my mega base for a while now, and this mountain meets the criteria almost perfectly. Which is why I'll likely be building on it. Or I guess I should really say, in it. But I'll save the more in-depth plans for when I actually start building. This video wasn't too long, but that's mainly because I was just blasting through all the early game stuff. I'll probably make them longer in the future, unless you like the shorter videos, which wouldn't surprise me too much seeing as the attention span of a human is less than a goldfish's. But with that said, I'll see you all in the next video.